Hey gang, Django here, Primal Punch here. Just coming at you with something a little different, doing a review slash demonstration, I guess, of the Nelson Rain Train Traveling Sprinkler. Alright, I scored one of these in a trade, and it turns out the reason the dude was so willing to trade it was that the arms keep popping off when you try to run it. So, I'm going to tell you how I modified it so that the arms wouldn't pop off. Super simple mod. Anyone can do it. Just some short screws. You drill through the plastic, and I put a little flex seal around it, but it's not needed. There's no water that goes through that area where I put the screws. And just tighten those screws down enough to retain the arms, the metal arms. So I'm going to show you this, but the reason I'm over here is because of the wind. I want you to be able to hear me. It's really useful. My review of it initially would have been a 0 stars out of 5, okay? But once I modified it and made some adjustments in terrain, because it gets bogged down on any irregularity, or if it's dirt, you're trying to put it through a garden, it'll turn that dirt ahead of it into mud, and then just bog down in its own mud. So I made a little gravel pathway for it. If you're using it on a lawn, perfect, no problems. The arms are angled at the ends, okay? And that's how the arms force themselves to turn with the water coming out. And that, in turn, turns a little engine. And it's got a 2-speed transmission. Well, 3 if you count neutral. But it's got a 2-speed transmission, high and low. High speed is, they claim, 47 feet in an hour, and it doesn't go that fast for me. So you angle those arms, so you can turn them angled, slightly down for a very narrow patch, like 10 feet wide or whatever, or you can angle them up and get up to like 35 feet or 40 feet diameter. Pretty significant space. And you set your hose, say like I wanted it to go around my house here, then I would have this out where it can travel, and the front wheels use the hose as a guide, and it pulls the excess hose behind it, as it goes. So we're going to go look at it now. And I modified this so that the arms wouldn't pop out. It was unusable with the arms popping out, absolutely unusable. Alright, but now it's great. Otherwise I'd be down here doing this by hand, and I just haven't the time. Alright, so some things that you'll want to pay attention to is, see, I've had these volunteers, this garlic and onions, and so they're blocking the spray, where I've got some garlic out here planted at the periphery as a gopher deterrent. Hopefully it'll be coming up soon. So there's areas that aren't going to get water because I didn't plant in a mentally sufficient way. I didn't want to just uproot volunteers. But the reason this is so useful, we have some really hectic wind today. Alright, and here's one of the reasons. In the wind, it absolutely doesn't care. The wind hardly changes the shape of that water circle that it's making, that spiral of water. It's kind of mesmerizing, isn't it? Anyway, the wind doesn't bug it at all. It just keeps cruising. And when I was trying, I'd use an oscillating sprinkler, the wind just blew it everywhere, and you're losing so much to evaporation. You see, this isn't any kind of mist. This is a solid stream of water, and it does a great job once I modified it. Now here, you see that gravel pathway that I had to make? Because it got bogged down. It turns the soil ahead of it into mud, and then when those wheels hit it, they'll sink down in and just start grinding and drop it down, and then it tilts and a bar hits the ground and your foobar once again. So I made a gravel pathway for it. If you've got better ideas for that, please share them, because I'm going to assume that a ton of people, excuse me, trying to block the wind for you, I'm going to assume that a ton of people have had similar issues. Alright, where with this particular sprinkler, the arms popping off and it getting bogged down. So with some very minor modifications, you can make this into a very user-friendly sprinkler. I mean, you just set it back and let her go, okay? And it stops itself. You see this little ramp? Those front wheels are going to come across that ramp. It'll tilt up like a slow motion Dukes of Hazzard's jump. There won't be any jump though, it doesn't catch air. And then it goes down and it passes that ramp, and the ramp, you see how it's like an A shape? That ramp is going to trip an off switch on the bottom, and it just stops. Boom, done, just like that. So you know, once you've modified it so the arm doesn't pop off, you can just walk away and forget it. But if you haven't modified it, you have to be concerned, because right now, you know, no matter how high I turn that faucet, this isn't going to put out more than about, you know, 3.5 gallons per minute, because of the restricted flow by the spinning arms. But when one of those arms pops out, the water comes out unrestrained, you know, and it'll just flood out your garden, waste your water. You know, if you've walked away and assumed that it's going to stop, then I'm going to turn the water up a tiny bit, and you've walked away. Now it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and you've got yourself a mess. What's this car doing here? So that's my Nelson Rain Train traveling sprinkler. Very cool piece of gear. Very cool piece of gear. It's really helped me out, because watering had become very time consuming and tedious, especially in the summertime when I have to water the trees every 3 days. And hopefully it'll be better this year because of the mulch, that all these wood chips, hopefully these have made a difference. That's it. Just wanted to share that with you guys. If you're interested in seeing up close how I, you know, put the screws in and use Flex Seal on the arms, you know, all to aid in retention, then let me know and I'll do another video on that, just a supplemental video. Otherwise, that's it. It's a little bit hypnotizing, isn't it? Mesmerizing, maybe is a better word, mesmerizing. First time I got it fixed so that it didn't bog down and the arm didn't pop off, I stood there watching it for maybe 15-20 minutes before I realized it had only moved maybe a foot or two, and I just spent 20 minutes of my life watching a lawn sprinkler. So you can set that hose out in any shape you want, as long as you don't make your corners too tight. That would be far too tight right there. You can have it go all the way around your house. They claim that it can pull like 200 feet of hose behind it, but I'm going to go ahead and be a doubting Thomas and call BS on that. But I don't think it would have any issue with 100 feet of hose, you know, and maybe even 150. But 200 feet of even just this half-inch hose, I think would end up being too heavy. You think about how much water that's going to hold. That's going to be a lot of weight to drag around corners. But that's it. Just wanted to share that little modification. It's just screws going through the plastic fitting, so it dimples into the, sorry if I'm too close there, so that it dimples the metal of the arm and retains it. So there's Flex Seal for grip and the screw for retention, and you got to tighten those between uses, because the movement causes mini vibration there. It's going to unscrew those on you, unless you want to use some Loctite. But me, I like to be able to loosen those so that I can change the trajectory of those arms depending on what I need. So out here I turn it up to get the garlic that's been planted to the outsides of the garden, and in the backyard I angle them down because my postage stamp size lawn doesn't require that large volume of water. So there you go. Just one last little look at that bugger. Very cool little piece of kit. Real solid, cast iron body, hard plastic wheels. It'll gain traction on just about any surface, but if your surface is soft, it's going to bog down, it's going to pop arm, everything. So go ahead and do the modifications I've done just to be safe. And that's it, gang. I appreciate y'all coming by, and you be good to yourselves. Let me get you out of the wind here. Y'all be good to yourselves, okay? Because you're worth it and I dig you. You live free and punch hard, okay? Bye now.